Welcome to the DGTL Growth Podcast for marketing leaders turn playbooks into pipeline. I'm Suse Barnes. Today, I'm joined by Rebekah Werner, founder and CEO of Unita Marketing. Rebekah, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a bit about Unita Marketing and what you do and your vision for the company.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to commend you on pronouncing Unita correctly. That's not something that happens very often. And I tell people they can remember how to say it by, you need a marketing partner.
Excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, what we do is, we're a full scale marketing agency. So pretty much anything you need as far as representing your brand, your company, we take care of it for you. And the few things that we don't do in house, we've got great providers, great partners that we work with. But we really do what we love the most is a company that isn't even a company yet. When somebody comes to me with an idea or a concept and we help them turn it into a company. It's amazing how you register with Secretary of State. You go to the bank, you get your EIN and you just have this little baby, and we help grow this little baby into a beautiful full functioning plant. A lot of times we inherit sick plants and we help bring them back to life. Sometimes we inherit little fledgling plants. So, we kind of think of everybody's business as their little baby that we just try to hold in the palm of our hand and nurture and help them grow. So yeah, we typically, our bread and butter client, the most often client for us would be a service sector, small business who's looking to scale. So maybe you've started off and, what happens a lot of times is that business owners will start and they want to have really lean operations. They'll do all the marketing themselves. And about a year in, they realize, wait a minute, I'm spending 10 hours a week on marketing and I could have made this much money in that time. And you could pay us a lot less than that, to take care of it for you so you can focus on your business. That's kind of our most frequent client. And we take over what you're doing. We do it a lot better, we like to think. But basically, we're taking your business and representing you to your audience.
Yeah, let the experts do the marketing and you can focus on what you do best as a small
Exactly.
service. Yeah. I love the analogy of the starting from a seed to growing a full grown tree, it sounds like.
Yes.
And it sounds very exciting that you get to see it progress along the way. Can you share any recent wins with us? What has been exciting and maybe some challenges behind a recent win?
Yeah. Yeah. Every client is unique. Every story is different. Every marketing strategy we develop is extremely customized. We're a boutique agency and we don't really have any repeat stories. That's one of the things I love about what we do is everybody has their own set of challenges, their own set of pain points. But I'll share with you two stories. One which is very recent, and then one which is several years ago, back when we first started the company.
Super.
So the most recent story, and this isn't always the case, but every once in a while somebody comes to me with a company they've already built, and they just ask for help with A, B, or C, and I take a look online. Sometimes I have to be the bearer of bad news and say, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't even understand what you're doing here. Like, when I looked through the website, it wasn't clear. Who are you talking to and what are you trying to say? What sometimes happens with business owners is they know the industry in their head and they kind of assume that translates to somebody who lands on their website or interacts with their brand. So what we help do, is kind of like sometimes it's a minor little repair, maybe little sutures or something like that. And other times it's just like a flip the table. And that's what we got to do recently was flip the table for a client. We started all the way over, renamed the business, developed a new logo, branding, new website, new social media package. And that was kind of unusual because normally we kind of take what you've already got going and build on that. But for this particular client, she was absolutely thrilled that it's just a full rebranding. And she had felt kind of scatterbrained almost. She had felt like she wasn't quite sure what she was doing. And it's interesting when we work on your branding and your messaging, how it forces you into this focused place where you're like, what am I doing? Who am I talking to? So we were able to help tell her story and, explain so that now when you interact with her brand within, 20 seconds, you understand exactly what she does and how she can help you. So that was really exciting. And, another completely different story that kind of answers that question is This is one of my first clients. He had been referred to me. He was a hardscaper. He had been referred to me and he came over to my house to give me a bid on a project. And he showed up to my house with a trailer that said two guys mowing. And it was one guy and he was a hardscaper. And I said, "Hey, where's the other guy? And you do hardscaping too?" And he said, "Oh, I've got a branding problem. There's only one of me. And I only do hardscaping now. And to make it even worse, I've moved out of the city that I live in." He said, "I'm 45 minutes down the road and nobody knows who I am in that city." And I said, "Oh, you've come to the right place." So we've rebuilt him a new brand as well. So it's the same ending to the story, right? Where you just flip the table. He's like, "Okay, well, you're not two guys mowing, right? We cannot move forward in that direction." So we rebuilt his brand from the bottom up in his new geographic target location. And now, flash forward 3 years, he's about to bring on his fourth crew, right? He's got not one team, but two teams at three. Now he's hiring his fourth team and he's fully operational, booking 6 months out with four teams in action, and working on hardscaping jobs in his new area. So it's just so fun to be able to solve these problems, these real branding identity issues that our clients face.
Sure. Those are great stories. I imagine the first one, there's some resistance to actually starting over. People feel like, oh no, I've put all this effort into, what I've done before. Is there any lost opportunity cost in that? Or have equity built? How do you get over that initial maybe resistance?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's always a conversation, right? Very gently, very tenderly, I would say. I certainly am never say, "You know what, this is a dumpster fire. We've got to start over." That's never the conversation. And really, like I said before, it's not often that for me it's kind of exciting because we get to start from the ground up, right? But typically what they've got, parts of it are working that we can continue working with, and then other parts, we need to revamp and help grow in other areas. But when the situation does arise, I first, ask the question, "Are you open to changing your brand?" And they'll say, "Well, what do you mean?" And I'll say, "Well, do you feel like your brand accurately represents what you're doing?" You kind of ask a few exploratory questions. And what you'll typically find is when you're sensing there's a mismatch, they've either A, already identified it, or B, when you start asking leading questions, immediately realize it. You know, in the first example I gave you, there were a few leading questions that immediately got us there. And then she kind of opened up and said, "I'm really feeling so frustrated. I'm feeling pigeonholed by this name I chose. It confuses everybody, and I feel like, I just want people to know what I do when they first see my brand." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, are you open to changing the name?" She said, "Well, that seems too overwhelming." I said, "It's really not. We can help you with that." So then you become like the Superman, the savior, not the bearer of bad news, right? And the second example I gave you, within 30 seconds, he's like, "Oh, I've got a branding issue." I mean, when a hardscaper recognizes he's got a branding issue, you've really got a branding issue. So sometimes they come to me for that reason,
Yeah.
and everything in between. I mean, there's just like absolutely no rinse and repeat in what we do, which is what I love.
Yeah, that's why we love the industry, right? Because we get to work on so many different and learn so many different industries at the same time, right?
That's right. That's great.
Hardscaping isn't a word that I'm very used to hearing. How is that different? Is it landscaping? How's it different to the lands?
So it's dealing with solid surface exteriors,
Okay. Hmm.
patios, decks,
I see.
yeah, pergolas.
Nice.
Yeah, so we got to build out all these different pages for 'em, landscape lighting, mountains, retaining walls, anything dealing
Nice.
with concrete, stone pavers, anything like that.
Sure. Yeah. See, I learned something new already. Rebecca, what shifts are you seeing in the performance marketing industry right now?
When you say performance marketing, do you mean my client's analytics?
Just in general, like tools that you may be using for getting more traffic to your clients' businesses. SEO, paid media, any of those.
Yeah. Okay. So I am seeing a change. There's definitely a shift. In Q4 last year, we really started to feel a general decline in organic traffic, directly corresponding with a general increase in people's search habits. I don't think I'll be the first person to break the news that people are starting to use AI search tools in conjunction with Google search tools. There's a lot more direct traffic coming to our client sites, which is unusual. A lot more referral traffic. So we're starting to see an increased need for differentiation is what I would say. Search engine optimization is not going anywhere. Anybody that tells you it's going anywhere, is just reacting to every little whim, right? The way I think of search engine optimization, that's your windows and your roof, right? That's, you don't mess around with that, right? You want to have a good
Yeah.
roof, you want to have solid windows, and then maybe you change your paint color, maybe you change the furniture out or whatever, but you can't skip the foundation, right? Search engine optimization sets you up for every other venture to be successful. If your search engine optimization is not in place and you try to run ads, you're going to waste money, right? If your search engine optimization's not in place and you're doing all this content, just putting it out there into the universe, you're just wasting time. You're just spinning your wheels. Nobody's seeing it. So it all plays together, but the bottom layer would be the SEO. What I'm seeing, many of my clients have been able to rely exclusively on that foundation and just kinda hum along, right? Just relying on their organic traffic alone to bring in enough leads to sustain their business and drive sustainable growth. But now we're bringing in layers, right? More and more layers to maintain that sustainable growth and kind of accelerate the curve a little bit too, of course. But I'm seeing a large increase for the desire for email marketing. So a little bit of like going backwards, like, hey, let's create shareable content because people are fatigued with social media platforms, right?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, I'm seeing an increase in demand for YouTube optimization and the need for video content to integrate with your content development. So we're a lot of adding layers of video content, whether it be through professional video videographers or, hey, me just grabbing my phone and, making a few comments and putting it on my YouTube channel and adding it to a blog and which goes out to all my social media platforms, you know, so, and everything in between. We're creating campaigns based around video content, which is, there's just all kinds of video messaging happening. That seems to be a very new and important layer that we've added on. I'm also seeing more digital advertising spend come. It's just
Hmm.
increasingly needed, whereas before it was sometimes needed, sometimes not. Just more and more, I'm seeing that need to add that layer to stay relevant in those search engines. It's a great layer to add on to your search engine optimization efforts.
So basically, we have to, encourage our clients to be everywhere.
Yes, you see why I'm so exhausted.
Yes, exactly.
But, we all have, there's been some, there was some concern about us all being replaced by robots, but luckily with all the diversification, I think we're okay. I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And interesting that we are seeing email coming back into vogue, and YouTube and video have always been needed. I've been recommending that for so long, but super cool that it is coming back, and people are seeing more success with it there.
Yeah.
History repeats itself.
Yep.
How is AI impacting your business and your clients' businesses?
That's a loaded question. Let me think of the 100 different directions I could go. How is it impacting my
Okay.
business is one question. How it's impacting my clients is another. I would say
Mhm.
how it's impacting my business is in a lovely way. We're using it to streamline our operations, which is wonderful because we're able to spend less time on the hamster wheel and more time on the big picture strategy, data analytics, delving into reports and drawing more meaning and actually making actionable changes based on what we're finding. So I think in that regard, it's absolutely wonderful. My clients, for the most part, I would say they haven't been nearly as affected as our industry because for the most of my clients are small business service industry clients and they are remodeling kitchens. They are painting houses. They are taking plumbing jobs, right? Their service sector. AI cannot fix your leaky pipe. AI is not going to remodel your kitchen. However, it is interesting to see how we're able, when they work with somebody like us, we're able to weave modern tools into their marketing strategy. So I think without us, they would be completely unaffected. And then with us, we're able to add on certain layers, where we can use, one example I'll give you is our kitchen remodeler. he found that his competitors were using an online calculator. So we added this in, and we've been able to grab searches for people looking for how much does it cost to remodel my kitchen, right? And then we added an ad campaign that goes to this new landing page. But we had to use this AI tool to create the online calculator, but he had to put all the data behind it, right? So he had to program it. So he actually was really open to using AI and recognized that it was important in his industry. For the most part, the only way it's affecting their industry, that service sector, small business clients, is it's changed the way people have found them, which has been interesting.
Hmm.
To get found in, whatever places they were advertising and in organic traffic and referrals. And that was it. Now there's this new source of people, for example, going to ChatGPT, how much does it cost to remodel a kitchen 10 by 10 with L-shaped cabinets, and interacting with my client, right? Interacting with our companies. So it's just an additional way for people to interact with our clients, essentially.
Excellent. Do you find that it's easier to come up with new content that is valuable for a customer? I mean, the calculator example seemed like maybe people were looking for that in ChatGPT.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. It's opened up the world of possibilities. And it goes back to that point I made before, that search engine optimization is the windows and the roof.
Yeah,
Where creating content that's geared towards how much does it cost to remodel my kitchen is great for SEO, but it's also great for generative engines as well, right? Because we know that people are more likely to go somewhere like ChatGPT to ask that question. However, when people go to Google to ask the same question, either way, they're going to find and interact with your brand. So
wonderful.
so yeah, I would say there's definitely a trend towards query-based keyword phrases. That would be like it definitely something where we're kind of feeding the generative agents a little bit more query-based, common questions versus just keyword phrases. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think key is that by going towards the queries, you're actually helping your SEO efforts too. So you're not only just
Exactly.
optimizing for generative, you're optimizing for both. And I think there's maybe some confusion around that, but it is beneficial to both areas.
Right, right. Just means we have more work to do, which is great. We like work, right?
Exactly, exactly. Where do you want to be with your business in 6 to 12 months from now, Rebecca?
These are such great questions. Thank you for asking. Where I would like to be is not too different than where I am now. We are quality, not quantity. With our clients, we're a boutique agency, so every client is a really, really big deal for us. But my goal for 2026 is to onboard one new client every 2 to 3 months. So what I'm looking, as we come into the next 6 months or so, I'm looking for a couple more clients, to be completely ironed out and onboarded. And as we take around that corner to the 6 to 12 month mark, we'll take on a couple more clients. And just nice, slow, steady wins the race. We like to take our time with our onboarding process. We don't like to rush through it. I'm sure you probably know it's quite intensive when you're
Yes.
onboarding a new client with SEO strategy. There's a lot of layers. I've learned to take my time with it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. And then any predictions for what's going to happen in the industry in the next quarter, 2 quarters or so for the rest of the year?
I'm an optimist. My glass is always half full. I do have a prediction that I've never said out loud, but I will share it with you. And it's inspired by my 22-year-old daughter, who used to go to social functions and sit around and watch everybody look at their phone. They'd be like this. And she kind of created a revolution in her group of friends. And she said, you know what? Put your phones away. Put your phones over there. Let's hang out. Let's play board games. Let's play cards. Let's interact
Yes.
with one another as humans. Get off your phones. And she's created this wonderful group of friends where they have human interactions with one another. She's horrible about responding to text messages and phone calls, which I'm so proud of her for, because it means she's interacting with other humans, right? And
Yeah.
I think in 2025, we saw a rise of machine learning. Again, I don't think I'm the one who's telling you this, right? There's
No, no.
the AI search tools and all those things, and they have made our lives easier, just like smartphones made our lives easier, app development made our lives easier. All these things are great tools, but none of them are going to replace the need for humanization and personalization. So I think, again, me being the optimist, where I feel that, my company, not just my company, many other companies like me, where we have kind of, I think we're going to see more of a trend towards people craving human interaction and thought processes that require complex thought interactions with multiple facets all combined to come up with an overall strategy that may involve the use of AI and implementation, but just
Mhm.
way more humanization and personalization. Being able to have a conversation like you and I are right now, where we look at big picture ideas and then hone in, okay, what are we going to change right now? And then let ripple out over time. I think we're going to see a bounce back, you know, off this and heads up, looking at each other in the eye and having real conversations and driving real meaning from the data that we're pulling.
Absolutely. Let's hope so.
Right.
I love that.
Send it out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's make it happen. I have other guests that are saying something similar, so you're not alone. But it is going to be an exciting time. Well, Rebekah, I just do want to thank you so much for being on the show. I know you have a hard stop, so I don't want to take up more of your time. But thank you again, and I will follow up via email.
Thank you, Suze. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I enjoyed speaking with you.
Great.
Take care.
Thanks. Okay. Bye bye.